right, so stand with your feet about hip distance apart. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Get some nice space between your chest and your shoulders. Take a good cleansing breath in to get grounded. Press down into your feet. Nice long exhale out. We'll start to move into some half sun salutations just to warm up our body. So begin to inhale, lift your arms up overhead, big stretch, look up. Exhale, fold, lead with your chest. Your hands can either rest on the floor or your shins, whatever you can reach. Press your hands into something, lift up halfway, look forward. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale, sweep your arms out to the side, all the way overhead, big stretch, look up. Palms touch, hands come down to heart center. We're going to do that 2 more times. Release your hands down, inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Lift up halfway, lengthen through your spine, look forward. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way overhead. Big stretch, look up. Palms come together. Thumb comes back to rest on your heart. 1 more time, release your hands down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold. Lift up halfway, look forward. Exhale, back down. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way overhead. Hands come together. Exhale, down. Thumb rests on heart. Take a nice big breath here. And let it out. Now that we're into our body just a little bit, let's go ahead and take a seat. Take a moment to get grounded. If you would like to sit up on the edge of a cushion or a blanket, that's absolutely fine. And you can sit in any position that's comfortable for you. Take a moment again to get nice and tall through your spine. Tuck your chin just a little bit to lengthen through the back of your neck. And then take a few moments to connect with your body. So notice that connection between your seat and your legs and the floor. Notice the support that the floor is giving you. Check in with how the rest of your body is feeling today. You might especially notice if there's any places where you're holding tension right now. If you can, see if you can release that tension just a little bit. And begin to pay attention to your breath as you do this. So you're always welcome to keep your breath exactly as it is, and simply notice the rise and fall of your belly and chest. Notice the air flowing in and out of your nostrils. And if you would like to, begin to focus on lengthening your exhale. So those nice long exhales tell your body that it's okay to begin to relax. So full breaths, and maybe lengthen those exhales. If you would like to set an intention for practice, that can be anything that keeps you grounded or in the present moment, you are welcome to set an intention for your practice. take about 3 more breaths and simply notice whatever there is to be noticed, whether it's a body sensation, a thought, or an emotion. Simply notice. If your eyes are closed, you might begin to flutter them open after that 3rd breath. We'll do a quick little warm up to warm up our spine a little bit. So we'll begin by bringing our arms out to the side. Inhale, lift them up. Nice big stretch up. And then bring your right hand down to the floor, tip over to the side, long side body stretch to the left side body. And if you look different than other people, that's okay. We're going to do both sides, so it really does not matter. Next, inhale, bring your right arm back up. Big stretch to the center. And then bring your left hand down. Stretch over to the left side. Stretching all the way from those right fingertips down into that right hip. Keep breathing. So the breath is more important than any of the movements. So make sure you're breathing the whole time. Your next inhale, lift back up, big stretch in the center. And then let your hands float back down to the side. This time we're going to bring a twist in. So inhale, lift your arms up overhead. And then twist over to the right, right fingertips behind you, left hand to your knee. Stay nice and tall through your spine and take a nice big twist. Take a couple of breaths and perhaps notice where in your spine you feel a twist happening. When you're ready, unwind back to center, lift both arms overhead, and then twist over to the left. Left fingertips behind you for support. You can look to the side or back wall, whatever works for you. Take a couple moments to notice what this side feels like for you today. When you're ready, unwind back to center, stretch those arms up overhead. This time as you exhale, bring your hands down in front and walk your fingertips out just a little bit. So it's not a big fold, it's like half a fold. And this is so we can do a cat and cow-like movement from the seated position. So begin to arch your back as you look down towards the floor. And then pull your chest forward, shoulder blades come together, belly comes forward as you look up. So move through this cat and cow-like movement maybe 3 or 4 more times. You can move at your own pace, so you can always stop along the way. If there's a place you want to explore sensations a little bit more, fantastic. Let's do one more just like this. And then come back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands back up to a seat. Take a few moments, roll out your shoulders if that would feel nice. Your holding a lot of tension in your shoulders, this might be really nice right now. You can do one at a time or both, whichever feels good in your body. Need to add a little neck movement, that's also an option. Notice what your body needs and give it a few moments for that. Take one more breath, exploring whatever you'd like. And then, however you'd like to get there, we're going to move towards a downward facing dog position. So you can do this from tabletop or any other way you like to get there. So this is our upside down V position. You might start just by bending one knee at a time. Lengthen through the backs of your legs. Look up towards the front of your mat and take as many steps as you need to with your right foot to get your right foot more or less between your hands. You can drop your left knee down to the floor. Options here, you can stay right here, just shift your weight forward, feel that big stretch. Or if you'd like a little bit more, you can bring your hands up to your knee, or you can lift your arms all the way overhead. Take a couple breaths with whatever you've chosen. Remember, if you need a little bit less, you can always shift your weight back or drop your hands down. If you want a little more, you can shift that weight forward, maybe look up. Take one more breath here. And then go ahead and shift your weight back over your left knee. Bring your hands down on the inside of your right foot. Walk your right foot out to the side and point it at an angle so it's not all the way out to the side, it's not all the way to the front, it's kind of a 45-degree angle. Then shift your weight back forward. Your knee can drop out to the side. You can stay with your arms straight like this, or if you'd like a little bit more, you can maybe bring elbows down to a box or a block. Or you can bring elbows all the way down to the floor. Remember, your knee can open to the side. You can even roll into the outer edge of your right foot if you'd like, your pinky toe side. This can be a really big stretch, so do the level that works for your body. We'll stay here for about 3 more breaths. So notice all those feelings of sensations in your legs. You can always come out at any time if this is not feeling good in your body. You can take one more breath. Nice long exhale. If you're on blocks or elbows, come back to those straight arms. Shift your weight back. Step your right foot back and come back to that downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here. Again, you might bend one knee at a time. And then look up towards your hands. Take as many steps as you need to get your left foot forward. And then drop that right knee down to the floor. Again, you can stay here. Just look forward, hands on the floor. If you'd like a little bit more, you can bring your hands all the way to your knee or overhead. And this is one of those positions where it's okay for your knee to go beyond your ankle. You might be feeling a really big stretch here. 2 more breaths. Keep that steady breath going. And then shift your weight back over your right knee. Hands come down on the inside of your left foot. Walk your foot out to the side. Find that angle, so you're pointing at the angle, and then shift your weight back forward. Hands can stay straight. You can come down to elbows. You can use a block or a box. Whatever works for you on this side. It does not need to be the same thing as the other side. As much as we wish our bodies were completely equal on both sides, they're just not. Again, if this doesn't work for your body, you can always take a break, do something different, or use that breath to keep you in the present moment and feel those sensations. Two more breaths. If you're not with tall, straight arms, go ahead and lift back up. Shift your weight back. Step that left foot back. Come back to that downward facing dog. You can take a couple moments here, or you can always come to that child's form. Knees wide, toes touch, if that's a good resting position for you. Take a few breaths, checking in with where you're at. Remember, there's no right or wrong as long as you're not in pain and hurting yourself. You're just exploring sensations. Take one more deep breath and long exhale out. If you're in a child's form, make your way back towards that tabletop position up to a downward facing dog. Look forward, step your right foot forward. This time you might keep your left knee off of the floor and be in more of a runner's lunge. So look forward, settle in here, and this might be plenty. You might stay right here. If you'd like, you might plant your left hand and open your right arm towards the ceiling for a twist. Remember, no bad options, it's just whatever works well for you today. Your right hand is lifted, go ahead and bring it back down. And then straighten your front leg. So both legs are straight. If you would like to, you can bring your left heel down to the floor at an angle and work that right hip back, left hip forward. Hands can stay on the floor. That feels like a little too much. You can always bring your hands to your hips and lift up. You can use blocks here if you have them. Again, there's no wrong option. You might be feeling something in your legs. Just maybe. 2 more breaths. And if your hands are up, go ahead and bring them back down to the floor. Bend your right knee, step back towards that downward facing dog. Look forward, step that left foot forward. Settle into your runner's lunge for this side. Get nice and grounded, connect with the floor, connect with your body. Remember, you can always drop that right knee down to the floor if this is a little too much. If you want more, this time you can plant your right hand and open up to the left. Couple more breaths. If your left hand is up, bring it back down. Begin to straighten both legs. You can stay up on the tippy toes of your right foot or spin your heel down. I always feel a little more stable with my heel down. You can always also hop your back foot in a little bit if it feels like too big of a stance. Work that left hip back, right hip forward. Hands can stay on the floor, or you're welcome to lift up if that feels better. Or use blocks. All good options. Left hip back, right hip forward. And again, you might be feeling something in your legs. Couple more breaths. When you're ready, release your hands down to the floor, bend your left knee, step back to that downward facing dog. And either take a couple breaths here or in your child's form, or take a break, get a drink of water, whatever you feel like you need. We'll stay here for about 5 breaths. It's a good time to check in with yourself, notice how you're feeling. Perhaps notice if you're giving your body what it needs. You're taking the time to make good choices for yourself. Couple more breaths. If you're in a child's form, begin to lift up from table to downward facing dog. Look up to the front of the mat. Begin to walk your feet up towards your hands. Take a moment in that forward fold. You might shake your head, yes and no. And put a slight bend in your knees and begin to roll up one vertebrae at a time, taking your time, rising all the way up to standing. When you get to standing, you might want to roll your shoulders out a couple more times or roll out your neck. Shake it out. All right, we're going to do a couple of folded stretches. So we're going to start with our feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. And then turn your toes out to the side. So if you ever took ballet, it's kind of like ballet position number 2, I think it is. And then go ahead, inhale, lift your arms up. And then exhale, fold forward. Fingertips come all the way down. If your fingers don't reach the floor, this is a great time to grab a block or a box or something to rest your fingertips on, or you can just rest your hands on your shins. Lift up halfway, look forward. Exhale, fold back down. Lift up halfway, look forward, and then from here, turn your toes in so you're pigeon-toed, and then fold back down. And you might feel that in a different part of your legs. Halfway lift, look forward, create that length in your spine, and then fold back down. Lift up halfway, look forward, and then bring your heels into touch. Your feet are in that V, I think it's first position in ballet, and then fold back down again. So we're getting to all of those different parts of those leg muscles. Lift up halfway, look forward, create some length, and then fold back down. Lift up halfway, look forward, bring your feet back to parallel, slight bend in your knee, roll all the way up to standing. Give yourself a few moments in a standing position, let that blood come back to where it belongs. Again, you might roll out the shoulders, your neck a little bit. You might actually even interlace your hands back behind you and just pull your arms away. Open through your chest, create a little bit of space. And release that, shake it out. All right, we've got a couple more forward folds that feel a little different. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna cross our right foot over our left. You're gonna work to get the outer edge, the pinky toe sides of your feet as close together as you can. It's gonna feel awkward. From here, begin to forward fold as much as you can. And this might be a great place for a block or a box to keep you lifted a little higher, just to help you keep your balance. Lift up halfway and switch to the other side. So bring that right foot over and then the left foot over. So your feet are crossed, pinky toes are crossed and touching on the other side. And then fold back down. Lift up halfway, uncross your feet so you feel nice and stable, and then slowly rise all the way back up. Shake it out. Shake out those legs. All right, take a nice wide step on your mat, so turn to the side if you need to. Hands come to your hips. Look down at your feet. We're trying to get them parallel to the short edge of our mat. And then look up to open your chest. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands all the way down to the floor. Lift up halfway to create that length in your spine. And then fold back down. Let your head just hang down. Use your hands for support. Take a couple of breaths here. Maybe work on that slow, long exhale. Take 2 more breaths right here. And then put a slight bend in your knees, bring your hands back to your hips. Slowly come all the way back up to standing and step back to the front of your mat. So I'm going to give you a couple of options for this next thing. So we're going to start kind of the same. We're going to have that nice big stance, but I want you to see where we're going before you try it because you're facing away from the screen. So this time we're going to turn our toes out to the side. So we're kind of pointed at the corner. And one option would be to just kind of gently bend your knees from side to side. And just keep moving at whatever pace you would like as you do that. If you want more, you can move towards what we call Skandasana, where you bring your hands all the way down to the floor. My right heel is on the floor. For some people it's lifted up, that's totally fine. But all the weight is on that right side. My left toes are pointed towards the ceiling. You can do this with your hands on the floor. You can do this with your hands lifted up. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So if that sounds like it's going to be a lot, remember you can just stay and bend a little bit from side to side. So pick which one sounds good to you. Take that nice big stance, toes pointed towards the corner, and either begin to bend gently at whatever pace you'd like from side to side. Or if you'd like to try Skandasana, we'll start on our right side. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Remember, your hands can be on the floor. Totally fine. If your heel is off of the floor, that's very normal. If you're trying out Skandasana, bring your hands to the middle. Walk over to the left. Point your right toes towards the ceiling. Come back to the floor, come to the center. Whatever position you're in, you walk your feet in so they're a little bit wider than hip width apart, toes pointed out. Just come down to a squat position. You can use your elbows to open your knees. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Hands down to the floor, straighten your legs, slowly come back up to standing and shake it out. Let's do a half sun salutation, just kind of clear things out, and then we'll come down to a seat. So come back to the front of your mat, feet hip width apart. Nice big inhale, lift your arms out, up overhead, exhale, fold. Halfway lift, look forward. Exhale back down. Inhale, sweep your arms out to the side, all the way overhead, big stretch. Palms come together, and thumbs come to rest on heart. All right, let's come down to a seat. And this is where if you have a block or a box of some kind, grab that. So we're going to start by bringing the soles of our feet together. And that can be farther away from your body or closer in, totally doesn't matter. If your knees are way high up, you might bring them a little farther away from you. So for the first round, we're going to do a couple rounds of this, 5 actually. Sit nice and tall, press the pinky toe side of your feet in together and just sit nice and tall. Pull your shoulder blades back together behind you. And then if you would like, fold forward. Keep that flat spine, shoulder blades pulled back together so we're not rounding down. We're just lengthening through the spine. If you're folded forward, lift on up. Grab that prop you have, put it at the skinniest level you have, and put that between your feet. Start again, nice and tall. If you would like to, you might fold forward and notice if this is a little harder. You might not be folding forward as much as you were. That's okay. Lift on up if you're folded forward. Decide if you would like to stay with your prop exactly how it is, or you might turn it one level wider. Bring it back between your feet. Sit up tall. Maybe fold forward. Probably not folding as much forward, if at all. Take a couple of breaths. Notice how that feels different. You're folded forward, lift back up. Decide if you want to stay where you're at or if you want to make it to the widest level. Depending on how big your box is, you may or may not do this. If you have a really big box or block, that might be too much. You can always just go back to an easier level, totally fine. So again, sit up tall, maybe lean forward a little bit. You might notice that this might be a little more challenging, which we're partially doing for the next one so that we can feel the shift to being easier. If you're folded forward, lift back up, pick up that prop, set it off to the side. Bring your feet all the way back together. And notice how this feels different, starting with that tall spine and maybe folding forward. So sometimes we make things harder just so we can notice how it feels without it being quite so hard when we're doing it in the more traditional way. Couple more breaths. And slowly lift up. Bring your hands under your knees, help them back up. Straighten your legs, shake them out. Whew. That's something. Let's go ahead and bend our knees, plant them on the floor. Bring your hands back behind you. I point my fingertips out to the side and just kind of windshield wiper our legs back and forth. Okay. Lift on back up. And I'd like to do a round of pigeon before we relax at the end, if that's okay. You run out of time, you're always welcome to head on out. But I love pigeons for legs. So if the full pigeon that we're going to do is too much for your legs or any other part of your body, the variation is to lay on your back, press one ankle over your knee, and just hug it in. So if what we try feels terrible, that's a nice variation to do. Otherwise, if you know pigeon, you're welcome to just make your way there on your right side. I'm going to talk you through it coming from tabletop because I think that's actually easier. So from tabletop, you would slide your right knee forward behind your right wrist, and then you would walk your right ankle out towards your left wrist. And I'll show you a different angle in a minute. And then from there, you would walk your left knee back so that your right hip is more or less on the floor. Props are great here, so putting a blanket under one of those legs could be awesome. And then if you like that, you can always lower on down. So from the other angle, what this looks like is more like this. Yeah. Yeah. In our variations, we're not worried about getting our leg parallel to the front edge of the mat or anything. We're just getting it kind of tucked under, making sure we feel nice and supported. Using any props that are helpful. And then we can always rest our head on a blanket, a block, a pillow, whatever feels nice. Remember, if this feels like too much, you can always come back to your back body and do that figure four position. Take a few breaths here. Notice what you're feeling through your legs. If it's too much, make any adjustments you need to. Take about 3 more breaths. And when it feels right to you, you can begin to lift up. And make your way to the other side. The easiest way to get back off is just roll onto that hip. Make your way back towards table. Bring that left knee forward. Left ankle walks out towards that right wrist. Right knee walks back. And when you feel like you're in the right place, lower on down. Again, props are really helpful. So one side you might not feel like you needed it, but you might on the other. So tucking blankets in, awesome, awesome ideas. Find that slow, long breath. Emphasize those exhales. Release as much tension as you can. And take about 3 more breaths. After that third breath, begin to rise back up. You might shift your weight onto that left hip. Swing that right leg all the way around forward. Bring both legs in front of you, shake them out a little bit. And we are already over time. So let's go ahead and lay down on our back body. Stretch your arms overhead, big full body stretch. And then let your arms float down. Find your final resting position. I've traditional Shavasana does not feel good, you can always bend your knees, feet wide, knees touch. Or you could just come up to a seat and do a seated moment or two to reconnect with your body. So check in, notice how you're feeling now after some movement. Take a few breaths to notice if there's anything from your practice that you would like to take home or keep or try again. And then allow your mind and body a few moments to take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. And gently bring awareness back into your body. Begin to make some small movements to wake yourself back up. You might wiggle fingers and toes or circle wrists and ankles. Begin to bend your knees. You might hug your knees into your chest. You might rock a little bit from side to side. Eventually roll onto your right side body, using your right arm as a pillow. And take a breath or two here as you transition back. When you feel ready, begin to make your way back up towards the seat. Alright, thank you both for taking the time to be here today, for being in your body, moving and breathing. Hope this was helpful, and I hope we get to see you again soon. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.